Hey everyone, Dr. Zeo here again, and today we're here to talk about Power Rangers Dino Fury Season 2, Episode 20, The Invasion. Whoo! Part 1 of our 3-part finale, and things are certainly ramping up. So, as always, we'll do our summary, likes, dislikes, conclusion, and then our question of the week. Let's jump right into it. So this is I guess, an everyone focused episode. I don't really doesn't really have like a specific focus, so to speak, but things pick up exactly where they left off in the previous episode. Solon's on the ground after taking a hit from Void King himself. Void King stolen the Sporix chest, and the Rangers teleport in, and Javi and Ion immediately go to pick up Solon, and they're all confused. They're all like, okay, what happens now? Like, what are they gonna do with the Sporix now that Void Queen has all of them? And Izzy's like, they're gonna destroy us all, or destroy us all. Very Billy and Mandy of her. And then not Izzy, no. Amelia gets a call from Jane who says that there is a spaceship, I guess, orbiting the globe? Not globe, but there's a spaceship in the sky. And then they're like, oh, okay, then that's certainly weird. And then Solon uses I guess, the systems in the base, and she finds that it's not exactly orbiting the sky, it's directly over them in Dino Hinge. And they're like, okay, then, well, let's go ahead and see what's going on here. So the Rangers teleport onto the top of Dino Hinge outside the base, and who pops in but Aurea and the rest of the Rafkonians. And the Ranger's like, whoa, okay. And Ion immediately starts freaking out. He's like, yo, Rafkonians, where have you guys been? I don't know what's going on. He's like, excuse me. He's over here trying to compose himself. And Zato and Ali are understandably apprehensive about all of this. They remember when they got duped by Slither back in his debut episode in season 1. They're like, hey, do you mind if I read your thoughts? Because we've been here before and it didn't turn out too well for us. And Oria's like, yeah, sure, go for it. And Zato reads her thoughts and finds out that yes, she is a legit Rafkonian. And then Ion and Zato are super excited because they're among their people again. Their people are alive. They're not extinct after that explosion on Rafkon and after the Sporix battle 65 million years ago. So they start showering them in questions. Where have you been? What's been going on? How are you doing? And Izzy's like, whoa, slow down, boys. And so they take them back into the base where Aurea basically catches them up on what's been going on. And so she tells them that, initially they thought, y'all two, Ion and Zato, the Knights of Rafkon are a living legend. And Ion's like, hey, we should get shirts made. We should get shirts made, which, listen, I would totally buy living legend shirts with Ion and Zato or some sort of Rafkonian logo. Let me know what y'all think about that one, Hasbro. But on the more serious side, she catches them up on what's been going on with the Rafkonians, and she tells them that 65 million years ago, after the Great Sporix battle, the Rafkonians left Rafkon, moved it into, I think it was the Onyx Galaxy. They said during earlier, and basically they moved Rafkon, sent out those beacons just in case the Knights of Rafkon were to ever return or need to come home. And they hope that they come home actually. And basically they became nomads and scavengers, just kind of, going from place to place, and that's what they've been doing this whole time. And understandably, Zato's confused by all this. He's like, okay, that's understandable, but I sent messages out to you, out into the universe trying to find you. Why didn't you ever answer my messages? And Ori responds with a pretty simple answer, and she's like, it's been 65 million years. At this point, we thought the Knights of Rafkon were just, we thought the messages were fake. You guys could not have survived for 65 million years. We had to understand that we were apprehensive about that. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. They wouldn't survive 65 million years if it wasn't for the stasis pods that Ion and Zato were in the first episode and in Ion's debut episode. So, yeah, I agree. That makes sense. And then, Aurea wants to talk with them off onto the side, and they go into the med bay. Ion shuts the door, and she's talking about the Rafkonians living on Earth And Ion's excited. He's like, yo, the thought of humans and Rafkonians living together, that's fantastic. And Oria's like, whoa, slow your horse, bro. What do you mean living together? Then she pulls up, some receipts talking about humans are, terrible creatures. They can't get along. They can't help each other. They pollute the planet. They constantly start wars. And Zato's like, what are you saying? And she's like, we're gonna take the planet. We're going to enslave the human race. We're going to take the planet, probably teach them something better. And Zato and Ion are just like, what? And Zato says the quiet part out loud, and he says, you want to colonize Earth? Which I was very surprised by the fact that he actually used the word colonize in Power Rangers. Like, props on that. And she's like, yes, that's exactly what we want to do. Because the humans ain't shit. And I'm like, you're not exactly wrong. But we'll get to my problems with this little bit here in my dislike section. But basically, Ion and Zeta are like, no, we're not doing that. The humans, they're fine. I mean, they're not fine. They're not perfect, but they're not terrible. And Oria's like, okay, well, if you're not with us, then you're against us. And so they leave the med bay, and Ion's like, all right, y'all need to go home. And they catch the Rangers up on what's been going on. And Oria's like, Rafkonian Knights, to arms, and they surround the Rangers. However, at that point, we switch back to the villains, and Void Queen is over here, she's over here excited that, she has all of her Sporix beasts, and she sends all of them out into Pine Ridge, telling them to destroy everything, hatch and destroy everything. So we see them all going over Pine Ridge, the same shot we saw in the Season 2 Part 2 trailer a few weeks ago. And there they are, just all over the city. They all hatch. We see a bunch of monsters we've seen before in previous episodes returning, and some of them are voiced, which is pretty cool. I don't know if there's the same voice lines from before or newly recorded dialogue, but they're there, so that's nice. And the Rangers see this, and they're like, okay, this is serious now. And so at this point, knowing that the Sporix are now invading Earth, Zato calls a truce with Oria. He says, okay, you all can't invade Earth if there's no Earth to invade. If we allow the Sporix if we allow this to continue, then we're going to have a repeat of Rafkon. So I propose we both, chill for a minute, and you help us defend the people of Earth. And Oria's like, okay, you have a point. Let's go ahead and do this. Meanwhile, Emilia calls Pop-Pop to check in on him. Turns out he's outside the city, outside the dam, with, I guess, a humanitarian group planting trees and trying to save the Earth in a different way than the Rangers are doing right now. And then, Izzy and Javi checking on their parents. Turns out they're still a buzz blast. Warden Garcia is talking with Jane and trying to come up with a city-wide evacuation plan. And Izzy and Javi tell the parents that, hey, we're cool too. We're doing well. But yeah, stay safe, fam. And then I forgot, Emilia also told Pop-Pop that she's outside the city, and Pop-Pop told her, okay, cool, that's good. You stay safe, Nugget. Let the Rangers do their own thing. And so the Rangers morph, and they take Oria into the city to, go fight Sporix. And they end up getting into a fight with Wreckmate, I think Rustafa, and some other Sporix beasts. And so they get into a fight, and a pretty decent battle. Not bad. We don't really get to see the the Rafkonian guards and Oria in action too much, which, well, again, we'll get into that in my dislike section. But yeah, they get into a fight, and so the fight ends up stopping because Mucus teleports in and calls Wreckmate and Crash Flood, the monster of the week, back because Void Queen has a special assignment for them. So Javi's like, okay, let's go ahead and call Solon and tell Solon to keep an eye out for whatever that special assignment may be, just in case we need to teleport over there. Meanwhile, Oria defeats Rustafa, and Zato and Ion team up to defeat one of the Cannonball Bros. Peace, Cannonball Bro. You were still dope. And then they find out that, oh no, Pop-Pop calls the Ranger hotline because Void Queen, Clamshell, I think its name was, Wreckmate, Slither, Mucus, who else? Crash Flood. They're all over at the dam. Their big plan is to have Crash Flood destroy the dam and flood the city and just basically destroy Pine Ridge. So Yeah, they call the Rangers, and just before the Rangers go, we see what is it? We see Warden Garcia leading people to safety, and Oria takes note of this briefly, and then the Rangers teleport over there with Oria's guards and Oria herself to help defend that area, and they all get into a big old fight. Crash Flood ends up growing big, and then Ion, Amelia, and Zato stay on the ground while the remaining Rangers go fight Crash Flood in the Dino Fury Megazord Warrior Blade formation, and they end up getting their ass beat. He ends up downing the Megazord. So the Rangers continue their fight. What is it? Oria ends up fighting, I think it's the clamshell monster, whose name I just cannot remember. And she ends up getting her ass beat too. She runs into Pop Pop first, who tells her, hey, yeah, we are, planting trees to save the place. And she takes note of this as well. And she tells Pop Pop to, stay safe and get out of here. And she ends up fighting the clamshell monster, who kind of beats her ass. And before the clamshell monster can deliver a final blow, Pop Pop steps in with his shovel, his trusty shovel, and it destroys the shovel. Pop Pop curses this because it was supposed to be indestructible oak wood. That was a good scene. That was a very good scene. And then the clamshell monster kicks Pop Pop's ass. Like, it hits Pop Pop. This man ragdolls against the tree. Like, I need someone to check on that stunty because that looked painful. Like, that looked very, very painful. Great scene. Bravo, though. Great scene. And Amelia's like, no, Pop Pop. And she runs over to Pop Pop, takes off her helmet. Like, Pop Pop, are you okay? And he's like, Nugget, you're a Power Ranger. And she passes out. But meanwhile, while all of this is going on, basically Zato and Ion end up defeating Wreckmate. I think it's Ion who ends up defeating Wreckmate with the Dino Master Mode. And Zato uses the Dino Master Mode to freeze to freeze Crash Flood's whirlpool attack that was going to destroy the dam. And then he switches off with Ion. Then he dons the Dino Knight armor, and they combine their attacks to take out Crash Flood because they can do that in regular form. I mean, it's a rarity. You don't really see Rangers destroy giant monsters like that, and not in non-Ranger or not outside the Megazord. I mean, so it's cool to see that. It's nice to see that it took that much power to do. So it's not a normal thing that they can just willy-nilly do. But after that, then we go back to Amelia. Pop Pop's injured, and basically she says he needs medical help now. And so, what is it? Zato tells her to go back to the base, take him to Solon, and so she teleports away. And Oria is like, that man saved my life. These humans aren't as bad as as I thought. And then Zato's like, do you still want to take him over? And I'm like, I love the sass, Zato. I love it. Absolutely love it. And she's like, you know what? I may have been wrong. I may have acted too, I guess, harshly or judged them too harshly. I'm like, again, we will get to this in my dislike section. But basically, we go back to the base, and Pop Pop's trying to give Amelia a message just in case he ends up dying. Like, Solon gives Pop Pop this medicine, and she says, okay, this will help, but his internal injuries are serious. It's going to take a lot more than this to actually heal him. And so Pop Pop and Amelia are talking, and Pop Pop's like, Nugget, I need to get this message to you. Back at Area 62, when I was working there was this alien couple, and they had a baby. And they gave me the baby before there was the explosion, and the baby was you. And it's like, yo, what? Amelia is an alien? Okay. Did not see this coming. Yeah, we did. We honestly did. There were plenty of breadcrumbs left behind before this episode to indicate that Amelia is an alien. Shock and awe who her parents are. We'll get into that in the next episode. But basically, Pop Pop passes out and leaves Amelia with this cliffhanger of an ending, and that's the way we end the episode. Alright, so it's time to talk about my likes for the episode. First things first, I absolutely love Ollie and Zato being hesitant to trust Oria, because, again, they're building upon the distrust that they had when Scyther popped in. Like, they don't want to repeat the same mistake twice. I wish they would take that approach with the Dino Daggers, but whatever. But yeah, it was good. And them using the mind reading ability to make sure that they're not being duped into thinking that the Rafkonians are back twice is really, really good. Speaking of Oria, her presence in this episode is really nice. Like, she feels imposing. Like, there was a scene where she was walking, and I'm like, shit, girl, like, you clearly run shit. I'm digging this. And her outfit is really cool. Like, I like the swords on her back. I like the whole vibe she's giving off. Her hair, the way I like her hair juxtaposed against like her antennae. Like, it's all a very good outfit. The Rafkonian guards, they look like they're wearing paintball gear, so that leaves a lot to be desired. But Oria, she gets an A plus in my book. Comedy wise, I really liked how when Ion, Zato, and Oria were in the med bay, and Oria's like, we're gonna take the planet. And Ion whispered to Zato, these vibes aren't good. And then when she was like, yeah, I want to colonize the place, the humans are shit. And Ion's like, all right, now the vibes are terrible. I'm like, that's funny. That's really, really funny. I really feel like this line should have came in bad vibes, but whatever. But yeah, this line was just funny as hell. But also Zato saying the quiet part out loud in that the Rafkonians want to colonize the planet. That is some very particular language for Power Rangers. Like, I wasn't expecting them to actually use the word colonize, and there's a bit of depth there in that he's saying, like, people of color are saying this to a white woman who wants to colonize the planet. Like, I felt that as a person of color. I felt that moment, and just, I don't know if that was intentional on the writer's part, but bravo if it was, because yeah, message heard wide and clear, or loud and clear. But let's go ahead and, well, I mean, likewise, I also like the fact that we ended up this episode on a cliffhanger as well, and the fact that we finally have information about Amelia being an alien. Like, it's good that we finally addressed this obvious fact. But let's go ahead and talk about my dislikes. So first and foremost, my main dislike, I mean, it's not a big deal, but my first dislike for the episode was the fact that when the Rangers teleport into the base just after the start of the episode, Ion and Javi run over to Solon. I'm fine with Ion running over to Solon, but it should not have been Javi. It should have been Zato. Like, Zato should have been the one to pick up Solon, because she took care of this boy for 65 million years. Whether she was in the base, just doing her own thing, crossword puzzles, in a stasis of her own periodically, or trying to figure out a way to turn the ship, or turn Dino Hinge into a ship so they can blast out of there, whatever it may have been, she was with you for 65 million years while you were in stasis. Like, I would expect you to have been the first one by her side when you saw that she was downed. This is the second time she's taken a hit for you, bruh. The second time. I'm like, how? Like, that legit did bother me, though. Like, we know that she basically sees Zato as a son. Like, she has that very close relationship, and I wasn't feeling that reciprocal nature here in this part. But additionally, I didn't like how fast Oria had her heel turn. Like, you say you want to colonize the Earth because the Earthlings, they start wars, they don't care about the planet and all that. And yet, all it takes is seeing Warden Garcia leading people to safety, and Pop Pop telling you that they're planting trees to save the planet, and Pop Pop stepping in to save your life, to completely change your viewpoint on taking over this entire world. Like, who was your messenger, or who was your informant? Was it Kite? Did Kite set you up for this? Because it seemed like y'all did a lot of research to prove that you want to take over the planet, but you didn't bother doing any bit of research into the humanitarian efforts across the world, and any anti-war messages, any efforts to save the world from global warming. Like, this is a quick Google search, my girl. Like, I don't understand how you didn't find this kind of information when you were doing any research or pulling up those clips on the Earth. Like, this seems like, yeah, it was too easy. It was way, way, way too easy. I mean, I understand they probably had some time limitations. They're trying to do a 3-part finale. We only have 22 minutes per episode. I get that. But again, it felt too easy. Just like Ion being cool with Zato back in his debut after, being a hothead. That felt too easy, and this feels too easy as well. Did not like it. The only other thing I didn't like was that Oria and Wreckmate get into a fight, and I was hyped. I was legitimately hyped because she had the upper hand, and then they completely cut to the Rangers fighting Crash Flood, and then Wreckmate steps in to the fight as well. It's like, why did we not see Oria and Rekkame continue their fight? Because like I was really hyped for that. We don't really see Oria doing much in this episode, to be honest, and I'm kind of disappointed by that. Like we see more of her henchmen than we do Oria herself. And I understand, it's probably easier to show the henchmen doing things because they have a mask and they don't have to hire a stunty, put on antennae, and do all that kind of stuff for Oria. But I sort of like to see her get some action in. But really, that's really it. Conclusion wise, great episode. Sets up the rest of the 2-part finale. Well, this is part 1 of the 3-part finale, and it was a great episode. Not too many dislikes, but yeah, it was fantastic. Like, I'm glad to see the Rafkonians are alive and well. It's interesting to see that they've been just around the galaxy doing things, and they have legitimate reason to not trust Zeta's messages. And the fact that they want to colonize the Earth is something I would have never predicted in a million years going into this episode. That was one hell of a development, but I do wish that we had more time with that. That was fleshed out just a little bit more. Ending this episode on a cliffhanger where Amelia finally finds out that she is an alien is good. Like, it's one hell of a thing. Like, I can't wait to see what happens next. Obviously, I already have been. I can't wait to talk about what happens next in the next episode titled The Truth, but we'll save that for next time. Before we go, our only question of the week is why did Pop Pop recognize Oria's antennae? Like, when he initially encounters Oria, he says, "Huh, those antennae," which means that he probably recognized them. With my girl being an alien, we can probably, assume that she is a Rafkonian, but we'll see about that. But yeah, that's the only question I have for this week. Again, thank you for watching. I'm Dr. Zio. Get your still wear your masks. COVID vaccines, get those. Get your boosters. Omicron boosters are available now. COVID's no joke. Y'all, it's been 44 episodes I've been saying. 41 episodes I've been saying this. Like, y'all should probably get the gist of it by now. But yeah, still stay safe. Thank you for watching. Please comment. Let me know what y'all think about the episode. Like and subscribe because it does help with the YouTube algorithm. But until next time, I'm Dr. Zio. Thank you again for watching. I do appreciate it. I'll see y'all in the next one. Ciao.